Monsters do have their place. In the zoo, in your nightmares, in the deep.
Hey, I'm sitting here surrounded by books. I guess this is going to be my look back at 2020, the books I read, which weren't that great, to be honest. And this is also my 2021 reading plans, which I don't know how I'm going to ever get through what I want to get through in 2021, but we'll see. So my reading goal, I use Goodreads. You should check that site out if you enjoy reading, because it's a really great way to keep track of what you read and find ideas for things to read. So you can set a goal too every year, a reading goal. And this year my goal was, originally was 40 books, I think, 40. But by the end of, the beginning of April, the end of March, I had already gotten to 40 because we were in lockdown and I did a lot of reading. So I readjusted my goal probably the beginning of April, and I changed it to 75, which is probably, would have been the most books I think I've ever read in a year. I think there might have been a year I did 80 books, but it was a really unique year. Usually I do like 40 to 50 books a year. I didn't make it to 75 because come summer I don't spend a lot of time reading when it's nice outside and I want to be outside. So that was silly of me to up it that much. I did 63 books, which was close. I'm not complaining. And I like having a goal that is harder to reach. You want to reach for something. So this year I'm trying to do 60, which is way more than what I usually set it to originally. I've upped it before when I've reached the goal. But we'll see. I have a lot of really thick books I want to read this year, so that was probably pretty silly of me too. So, let me see where to start. I have all these books. And I actually did this video before the new year, a couple days before the new year, but it ended up just me listing book names, which isn't very interesting. So it's not very interesting to watch someone sit and just list off names of books. But my biggest disappointment of 2020 was I still have not finished Tom Jones. I got farther along than when I've tried to read it in the past, but I put it down and haven't picked it up since. I'm on page 330 out of like 800 pages, so it'd be good to finish this year. I'd really like to finish Tom Jones. I'm not going to start over, even though I set this down. It was probably April. I'm going to just continue on from where I was, because I remember. It's not like I need to go back over it. And I'm going to finish it. And I don't, this is a really, really good book. I don't know why I'm struggling with it, because I do enjoy it. It's just, thick. It's just thick, but a really good book, so I don't want to deter anyone else from reading it. It's worth it if you read it. But my best books of 2020, this was the reread of the Mojave Phone Booth, which I just did a video on. Kind of a different video for me. And this, I have to say, is one of my top 10 books ever. I love this book. But I'd already read it, so it doesn't really count as a best read for 20... I know, it does. I read it in 2020, so it can count. But next, I don't know what kind of an order I'm going in. So I got this because I was really intrigued. I saw a picture of the cover, but this isn't the cover that I saw. It's from the 70s. It was a book called Jane Emily, and it's by Patricia Clapp, and this has two novels in one book in this version. I haven't read the other one yet, but Jane Emily, I think it was actually kind of like a teen book, maybe? I'm not sure. But it's a really good story about a girl who goes to visit her grandmother, I believe. And she had an aunt who had died at the same age she was when she goes to visit her grandma. And there's this gazing ball out in the garden, and the ghost of the aunt possesses her. I hope I can't remember if that's giving away the story. But I don't think this is really that well known at all, so really recommend it if you like ghost stories or supernatural stories. Jane Emily. Very good story. My next favorite book, probably, I couldn't put this book down. I think I read it in like a day. It's called Kindred by Olivia Butler. It's kind of a time travel science fiction type of a story, historical. It's really good. This cover is terrible. It makes it look like it's like an Amish romance type of a cheesy book. The cover should be way better, I think, in my opinion. This is a poor cover. They could have done better. It just makes it look like it's like a cheesy romance. It's not a romance. It's time travel. And then my favorite book of 2020 was The Elementals. And I talked about that in my October books. It's another ghost story, of course. Really good. And it has the best sentence that I read of the whole year, which if you want to know, you'll have to go look at the October video. Best sentence of the entire 2020 that I read. Yep, so that was my favorite books. I read a lot of junk. In 2020. I tried an experiment during the lockdown back in March and April where I just read self-help books. Like, all the self-help books, like, that are famous, that you've heard of. Because it's not usually the sort of book I read. And I thought, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to read all these famous books. And we're going to see what it does for me. I'm going to see if it does anything for me. I read, like, How to Make Friends and Influence People. Like, what else did I read? I'm trying to think of the famous ones. The Four Agreements. The Art of War, which I have to say, out of them all, probably liked The Art of War best. But yeah, so there were like really like classical self-help books and then modern self-help books. I read them all. And the thing is, with self-help books, they all seem to repeat themselves. They all seem to be saying the same thing, repeat themselves. So just, if you're going to read a self-help book, just pick one. Just pick one. You don't need to read 13 self-help books in a row. That's not going to do anything. It's not going to change anything. They're all giving you the same advice. Pick one. Okay. And then we have tons of books sitting here, over here. These are books I got for reading in 2021. I've lost my mind. These are all new books that I didn't even have already. I want to read the books I already have, so I have to stop buying books. That's what I told myself. And then look, okay, a few of these were Christmas gifts, but pretty much I got all of these. And I don't know where I'm going to start first. I really don't know. Some of these, I don't even know. So this is probably going to be the most difficult one. That's The House of Leaves, which I don't even really know what it's about. I had just read something about it one time, and it sounded intriguing. I think it's a kind of a mystery. The formatting is really strange, and it's super thick. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know when I'll get to that. Probably need to do that in the winter, though, when I can give it a lot of focus. And guess what? It's the winter right now. I want to do some poetry. I don't really read poetry that much. Not like romantic poetry, so I got some romantic poetry down here. Just dropped a bookmark or something out the back. This one I just randomly saw. I think it's a ghost story, The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. It says, a perfect read for a winter night. An intriguing, nuanced, and generally eerie slice of Victorian Gothic. Oh, I need to read this, like, soon. It doesn't look like it's going to be that hard. I could probably... I want to read it when it's, like, a snowy night. Watch it not snow this winter. Sometimes I save books for, like, when it's snowy or rainy, and then that weather never comes. Just read the book when you get the chance, or you'll never read it. But a nice cold winter night, I'm going to read that book. So really soon... I finally got the Virgin Suicides. I love that movie. I was like, I should read the book. So I got that. I use thrift books sometimes. So it's a little banged up, but it's a good way to get books cheap because there's not a lot of bookstores around, not a lot of used bookstores around. I've wanted to read this for a long time. Only Lovers Left Alive. It's a, all the adults in the world commit suicide and there's only teenagers left to fend for themselves, which sounds pretty interesting. It's from the 60s. Excited for that one. It's not going to be too bad. Oh, so I've been watching a lot of Sherlock Holmes TV shows and movies. I'm like, I should read, because I've only read The Hound of the Baskervilles. I'm like, I should read Sherlock Holmes stories, not knowing that there were so many. This is just volume 1. No idea. No idea that there were so many. So looking forward to that. I think I mentioned in a video once that I wanted to like read something on lucid dreaming. Guess what? I got holding it strangely. A lucid dreaming book. This feels like it's a very low energy video. So reading nature books too. I'm reading all kinds of books. This is by John Muir, A 1,000-Mile Walk to the Gulf. So I'm kind of excited for this. I think this is the only nature non-fiction book I have here. I have no idea what I'm going to get to. So this was another random one I just happened to see on Amazon and it was on sale. We Ride Upon Sticks. I think it is about a field hockey team in Massachusetts. I liked it because it was set in Massachusetts. And the description of it made it kind of reminded me of, I read this book called My Best Friend's Exorcism, and then Horror Store by the same author. Can't think of the author's name. But it sounded kind of similar to like a funny, kind of retro, horror story type of a thing. I think they're witches in this. Field hockey team of witches, I believe. So yeah, I don't know. I'm either going to love this or I'm going to hate this. And I got it on sale, so I won't complain too much. It's pretty. I like the cover, though. It does look very late 80s looking. Yep. This is called The Turnip Princess. Bunch of forgotten fairy tales. Newly discovered fairy tales. I love the original versions of the fairy tales. They're really great. Really great. It just slid. I don't know. There's all kinds of things here. I have so many books. This isn't... I probably have more, too, that I didn't even... I don't know where they went. I don't know. I don't know where anything is. Oh, when I tried to make this video before, I was showing my... I opened them. But I'm getting rid of that version of this video. So, here are my awesome library socks that I got for Christmas. Sounds like they have tissue paper inside. It's kind of strange. But it's like the library cards. Remember they used to stamp the cards? My library, they don't do that anymore. You get like a receipt, like you're at the store. It's pretty weird. But it has the date due. They should bring the library cards back. Nobody wants a receipt. Yeah, so I'm reading those books. I want to try and read some poetry, which is going to be... I'm really excited for this one. But I don't know if this is a good translation of the poems. It's The Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. But it looks really cheap. When I got the book, it looks super, super cheap. So I'm not feeling that confident about the translation, because I believe it was originally in French. Probably should have gone. There was the $20 version, and then there was the $2.99 version. So of course I went for the $2.99 version. Looks like someone just typed this up. Oh, if you are into poetry, you might find this one interesting. I've actually had this one for a while. This is the only book here that I've had for a long time. It's William Blake's Complete Illuminated Books. And I got this version because usually when you see his poetry, it doesn't have the art. What I like is his art. I've never really read his poetry. So it's pretty cool. But the only thing is, if you're thinking of getting this, let me see if I can show you an example. Some of them, the pages, are so little. Let me see. Okay, here's a good example. They're so little. With the, it has the poem written on it and the artwork, but look at, how am I supposed to read that? Infant Sorrow. I have to squint to read it. My mother. I can't read. I'm gonna need a magnifying glass. Because it's his handwriting. If it was printed in that small. Oh, did I know he wrote The Poison Tree? I don't think I knew that. I like that poem. Yeah, so there's a bunch of pages where they're really tiny. That's not that good. But then you have these beautiful pages where it's, as it should be. But yeah, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna read all the way through it this year. I am. All my poetry here. And I'm not gonna buy another book. No, that's not true. That's not true. I can't just give up buying books. But yeah, I'm gonna work on what I have. And then we'll see. This isn't 60 books, and I said I was gonna read 60 books, so. I mean, I have bookshelves and shelves and stacks and stacks. Could be reading forever. Okay. I think that's it. I'll see you next time. I've got some ideas for book videos coming up and other videos. One of the reasons I haven't been making too many videos lately is I'm working on stop motion animation, and it takes forever. It's going to be like 2 minutes and 25 seconds. When it's done. It takes like a whole day to just do 20 seconds. It takes forever. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.